What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from Jamestown podcast edition. This is the September View from Jamestown. I'm sitting down this morning with AJ Pacharka, GM of Sales, Javier Fernandez, our Latin American Operations Manager, and Matt Francor, our Regulatory and Sales Specialist. I think I got that title right, yeah? A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything, yeah.
Good morning, guys. Thank you for sitting down this morning. What's going on?
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Javier Fernandez, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, I don't know much of these, but I'm happy to do them when I'm here, but it's good.
Always nice to nail you down when you're on this continent versus somewhere else in the world. So thanks, guys, for sitting down this morning. Excited to get things started. Obviously, I think the first view we've done without Rob, so it might be a little different flow this morning, but I think it'll be good. Starting things off, do a quick tariff update. I know there hasn't been a lot changed since the last recording we did. We also did a tariff-specific recording 2 weeks ago or so. That should be one of the last one or two most recent episodes we did. But Matt, maybe you want to give an update on where things are at and what's coming up soon.
So as far as a general overview for the tariffs, List 1, as of our last podcast, had already been finalized. And List 2 was recently finalized with an effective date of August 23rd. As for the chemical industry, that doesn't really have much effect. The only thing on that was, I think, lubricating oils and some end-use plastic items. But List 3 recently had the public hearing. It was from August 20th through the 23rd. And I think we can expect a final list anytime within the next week and a half to 2 weeks, somewhere in that time period.
So with that list 3, that's all the chapter 28, 29, that's all the chemical products in that one list?
Just about, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a list 4, or is it list 3? Is that it?
Haven't heard anything on a List 4. Hopefully it doesn't come too soon, but I mean, it's definitely possible with Trump's attitude on all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the first three came pretty much back to back, right? Like this would be a long gap between a potential fourth list.
It would be, yeah. I think the last one, List 3, was announced, months ago.
Yeah.
Maybe sometime in March even. So definitely would have a good bit of, warning before something else happened.
Right.
Yep.
So we're kind of just in a holding pattern, waiting for the lists to be finalized and come back out, kind of, sort of.
That's it, yeah. So List 3, like I said, it'll be probably finalized and published within the next week and a half to 2 weeks. And after that, we can expect an effective date of somewhere along the lines of a month after the public hearings, just like the other two lists. So maybe sometime late to mid-September into October, possibly. We could see final, or the effective date, the tariff effective date.
Nice, yeah. So like I said, we did an episode, me and Matt, about 2 weeks ago. There's also a blog post on the website if anybody has specific interest in what's going on. And obviously you can reach out to Matt anytime for examples on specific products and where things are looking. Mm-hmm. And we'll probably do one maybe in the next week or two with an update on where things are at as lists start to get finalized and all that good stuff.
So,
even though it's not in effect yet, we're still seeing an effect on business. Like, in talking to our Nanjing office, they're already saying that producers are reporting demand being way off into the U.S. People just aren't ordering like they normally would. So I think that a lot of things from China are going to get tight here, just with the uncertainty. Even if the tariffs don't come to fruition, I think a lot of things are going to get tight just because people are, trigger shy.
If you're talking 6 to 8 week lead times and then you missed 4 weeks of stuff getting here, there's going to be, it's not going to be tomorrow, but 4 or 6 weeks down the road, there's going to be all those orders that weren't placed that, all of a sudden stuff's not going to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're ordering now, you're more than likely going to be affected by these tariffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was last week. I was at the APEC in Malaysia.
What's the APEC? If anyone's not familiar.
Oh yeah, it's the Asian Petrochemical Conference, and it's a similar AFPM. That's a big one for us in March, same as the EPCA, which is coming up, or APLA in Mexico in November. So I met with some people, and some factories are already shutting down the least competitive because the raw material is out of control. Because they import some of the main raw materials. So the least competitive is already shutting down. So and then there's also companies that don't seem to be affected because they see other markets like India, Turkey, that really don't care about the U.S. market as much, or they don't see any change or any major things happening.
So you're really seeing both ends of the spectrum. We got people shutting down, or we got people that really kind of don't care.
Yeah, but definitely it was a big topic. It was brought up a lot. Also, the other topic that was brought is the hurricane season in the U.S. because last year we had Irma, and which one was the very bad one?
Harvey.
Harvey.
Yeah, Harvey was bad.
Yeah, so that affected the Gulf, and so I think they expect at least 13 to 15 hurricanes next month. So
I think I saw one this morning starting to brew somewhere off Africa, I think, potentially coming up towards the U.S. So it seems like it's starting, or we're seeing the early parts of it, which I'm not complaining about from a surfing standpoint, but from a transportation standpoint, it's obviously an issue.
yeah, so yeah, we have to be on the lookout for that. That this is the season, and last year, I mean, some companies haven't got up to speed yet from the
last year's.
yeah. So.
How was the conference overall? It was good over there.
Yeah, it was busy. It was a good. We had a busy schedule. Steve Friedwell and I, and yeah, it was good. People see with good eyes the U.S. People see there's a strong economy. The access to credit is still really good, so they see a strong economy. That's nice to hear because they see things in other perspective than us. So things should be good.
Yeah, it seems like a good feedback to get because obviously I think us being in the U.S. we assume people see us in a certain light, so it's always good to actually just get outside the U.S. and see what people are actually saying.
Yeah. So they see strong fundamentals in the economy, so things should be good.
Good.
Let's hope.
Hopefully, yeah. knock on wood here. Moving on, pricing into September. Today is the 28th, so we still got a couple days till September, and we're still seeing price letters coming out and formal updates for what we're going to see into September. But what are you guys starting to see for the month ahead with price updates and trends?
There's been a lot of announced price increases. OXO alcohols, plasticizers. Most of the majors have already announced for September. A lot of folks don't know how much of those increases are going to stick just because, raw materials seem to be mostly flat to down for the most part. Crude's trending a little lower, nat gas is lower. Benzene flat to a little up. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty as to where the prices are actually going to settle out, although there's a lot of increases on the table. But
seems like the general feel is flat to slightly up across the board, more or less.
Yeah, and there's also tightness in raw materials, like in Europe. BASF was having problems getting raw materials to their plant due to the levels of the Rhine. So there is some tightness out there in the market on the raw material side. So that could be driving price as well, more than just the raw material increases. So we'll see what happens.
Obviously, in a lot of the same kind of trends with your conversations in Asia and
Yeah.
things around Latin America.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the Rhine River, the level. So some companies, BASF already announced force majeure, but because they're a little bit more up north, some of the companies we deal with, they are farther south, but still, like the vessels to the port, they are 2/3 full. So that's driving their logistics costs and passing on to trickles down.
It's amazing that something like that is a factor. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm quite new to the chemical industry as a whole, and thinking about
Yeah.
things that affect like pricing and availability. It's amazing.
And first and second week are the driest in Europe, and they have been
First and second week of August,
of September.
September.
So that can they can get worse.
So it's gonna get,
so we're
it's
not
gonna
even
get
at the
worse.
worst.
Yeah, and then you see a lot of heat waves in Netherlands and Germany that they're not used to it. So so there's something going on. I think it's called global warming.
Hobby with the Weatherman. It's gonna be a new segment on the View.
Yeah.
Nice. So we'll obviously see how things play out in the next week, and obviously if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your TCC salesperson or the office as a whole, and we definitely let you know where prices finally set at for September. Moving on, featured and new products. Some stuff not necessarily brand new, but still stuff that we're still pushing and trying to get out there. What are we trying to push and what's new around TCC?
So we have the Elator CH. It's a plasticizer. It's made by Evonik, and we have samples available. And also we'll be having drums for scale-ups. Then another product is hydrogen peroxide, 70%. We handle it in the West Coast for distribution. And also some of the new ones are amines, the triethanolamine, monoethanolamine, and diethanolamine. We're going to have the 3 right now with a 4 to 5 week lead time, but we will start stocking in the upcoming months.
Nice. All right, sounds good. A lot of new products around TCC, which is good, and we're looking forward to continuing to promote those. And obviously, either reach out to Javi or Matt Francoeur or pretty much any of your TCC salespeople, and we can get you in contact with the right people to get that moving. Moving on to the trade show front, obviously Javi just came back from the APIC, so we're glad Javi's back on this continent for once. And obviously things are getting a little bit busier as we get into the fall. Get a nice quiet kind of summer trade show season, and now things are getting busy. I know we've mentioned it quickly in the past, but what's coming up in September, AJ? What do we got this month?
We've got a lot of stuff on the table for September. We've got a group of us going down to Charleston, South Carolina next week for the Specialty Agro and Chemicals America show. That's from the 5th through the 8th. I'll be there along with Ray Altenberger, Corey Mullins, and Ben Sawicki will be going with us for the first time. Looking forward to that. We have meeting schedules open. Love to meet with you down there. So reach out to any of us to set something up in advance.
We'll have a booth there too. So whether or not you set up a meeting, feel free to swing by and say hello as well. We'll be there all week.
Yeah, we're booth 709.
709, I believe. Yep.
Yep, we're booth 7. It's a small enough show you can find us, but we're right by the entrance door there. So love to meet with you while in Charleston. Next, Ben will be at the Plastics annual meeting down in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm on the Flexible Vinyl Executive Committee for the Compounders Conference, and so one of the things they do during the year is the Plastics annual meeting. Plastics is the old SPI, the Plastics Industry Trade Association. Say that 5 times fast. So they have their annual meeting in D.C. the week of the 11th that I'll be going down to, which I'm looking forward to. Some regulatory stuff and updates for what that organization is doing around D.C. and lobbying Congress and things like that. So looking forward to that as well. It should be a good week.
Man, Congress and D.C., that sounds like a ton of fun.
Yeah. D.C. is fun.
Lobby and regulatory.
Yeah.
Good luck with that one, Ben.
Thank you.
Then after that, Javier and myself will be down in Charlotte the week of September 11th at the UTEC North America show. That's a polyurethane or urethane specific show. We are exhibiting in booth 728. Again, reach out to Javier and myself to set up a meeting. Love to meet with you while we're in Charlotte.
And that UTEC one, there's a few iterations of it, right? Doesn't it kind of bounce around with different parts of the world and different shows at different years?
Yes, you take Americas, you take North America, you take Europe. There's also Asia version, so it's mainly focused on the polyurethane industry.
Nice.
So
in 2017 we exhibited down in Mexico City, and that was a really, really good show for us. So we have high hopes for Charlotte the week of September 11th. And then after that, group is heading over to Vienna, Austria for the EPCA, which we do every year. Javier, Ray Altenberger, and Rob Roach will be in Vienna for that.
And I know we're already setting meetings for that. I think the meeting schedule is actually quite full as of now. You guys, a lot of stuff planned for that, which will be nice.
I think so far we have 30 plus meetings.
Yeah.
So yeah, people think that we go for fun, but we actually do. We actually meet with people, and
it's crazy.
And
it's crazy.
It's crazy what people have.
I'm sure you manage some fun in the meantime.
Yeah, we try. Keep it to a minimum.
But obviously, reach out to either Javi or Ray or Rob or Nicole Canning as well as setting up meetings. So feel free to reach out to any of them to schedule a meeting if you're going to be over at the EPCA. And then the last one I think coming up somewhat soon is the Vinyl Tech in Chicago. Myself and Joe DeVerse will be going down to that. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And then APLA, we'll talk about that later in the year, but we'll be down at APLA a couple months from now. Wrapping things up, I think it'll be a little bit of a short episode, which I don't think is the end of the world. What do you guys got coming up in September, other than the shows? Anything good coming up as we're on the back half of summer here, unfortunately?
No, I mean, weather's still looking beautiful here in Rhode Island. We're probably up around 90 degrees today and not a cloud in the sky, so it's still nice out. Unfortunately, have a bunch of travel coming up, so I'm gonna, try to enjoy the weather as much as I can before all these trade shows we have coming up.
It'll probably be a little bit warm next week in Charleston as we're starting to think about it.
It's gonna be very warm in Charleston. I haven't looked at the weather, but it usually is for this show. But Charleston's an awesome city. I love it down there.
Yeah. What about you, Javi, Matt? Anything else going on this month?
Not too
Home for a little while at least, just a couple little
Yes.
trips.
Yeah, just little trips in September, but yeah.
Just enjoying the weather.
Yeah. You were just on a trip somewhere, right? Weren't you just?
Last week I was at ChemEdge down in New Orleans. NACD put it on, and it was a couple speakers that came in, and some industry leaders, and some of the topics range from like, there was a motivational speaker, Odie Williams. He also had like a safety component there, and there was stuff like the liability issues behind autonomous trucking, stuff like that.
Sure.
Really up and coming fields.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. Sounds like a
Yeah.
lot of stuff going on at a higher level, just what's coming and things like that. Sounds
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Industry updates, regulatory updates.
Who attended that? Would that be salespeople or purchasing people, or who?
It was all across the board. It was a large part of it was more regulatory people. So for the first part of the week, there were breakout sessions. The one I went to initially was the TASCA overview and how to prepare for audits, and what exactly the EPA is gonna be doing when they come into your facility if you're unlucky enough to be under their radar, I guess.
It seems amazing. Like we always talk about trade shows and conferences and events from a sales perspective, but there's a whole other world of just like regulatory and compliance events and conferences. It seems pretty crazy.
Which I feel is kind of newer, Obviously, regulatory and compliance has always been there, but the past 5 to 7 years, it's become a lot more intensive, and they have these dedicated conferences for that now, So I think it's kind of a newer trend, which is important for us to be a part of.
Yeah, it's definitely maturing a lot. I mean, there's also companies like Underwriters Laboratory, which every major company you can think of, Walmart, your Home Depots, Targets, any products that they're handling in their stores, and they go up through the stream of their suppliers, even up to chemical manufacturers and distributors, and they get qualifications on their products through this massive company, and it's all kind of coming together. It's less piecewise.
It's amazing. And obviously I'm sitting here and I got Matt to my left and AJ to my right. I haven't felt this pale in a long time. We got two of our beachgoers here. And just, so coming up in the podcast, we had some fun stuff too. We're talking to the NACD and their president, Eric Beyer. We're going to have them on an episode sometime in the next 4 to 6 weeks, which will be nice. Also going down to that plastics event, we're going to have a few directors and executives from that organization doing some interview type stuff, and we'll have them on the podcast as well very soon, which I'm looking forward to. Anything else coming in September? Anything else on your guys' mind? Good to go? Nice. Well, thank you guys for sitting down this morning. Obviously, thank you for listening. Hopefully you're streaming somewhere. Obviously, you're streaming somewhere, whether it's the TCC desktop landing page. We also have it on the Apple Podcast Store, the Google Play Podcast Store if you're on a Android device. It's also available from streaming from the View from Jamestown mobile app on Apple or Samsung devices. Obviously, feel free to scroll down. We'll have links to things we discussed in the show notes wherever you're streaming your podcast. That's always available. Happy to be a resource, and obviously feel free to reach out to Matt for any regulatory stuff or anybody in the TC scene for that matter for any questions or things going on. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you soon.